Anyways,
So I
how's your
fell.
day been?
Well, I had a situation with my boss, which I don't want to get into on the podcast, but just now I tripped over literally nothing and fell flat on my face. It was a good time.
Are you
My
okay, by the way?
my ankle hurts.
I'm sorry that I responded back with LMAO.
No, it's
But
okay.
to be fair, in my head, I just thought of the most like comical falling where I would just be in your house and all of a sudden you just eat ass and you're like, "Why?"
Well, to be fair, the exact text I sent was minor delay because I was walking to the bedroom and tripped over literally thin air and ate shit. So that's pretty funny text.
I was just like, "I'm assuming you're all right," or else you would have been like, "Major delay, I'm dying."
Yeah, no,
So,
I was good. I'm good. I my not really my ankle, but like the side, like the outer side of my left foot, I think is a little swollen.
just be careful and I'm sure after we finish recording, you'll be able to tell how much damage there's actually been
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So, how are you? How was your day?
It was okay. We just made a shepherd's pie,
Oh,
vegetarian, of
that
course.
sounds tasty.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
had.
very tired. I've had a really rough disability couple of days.
Yeah, yeah.
But I napped 4 times
Are
yesterday.
you on the up and up now?
No.
Oh, oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Hopefully if I feel better tomorrow. Like I went to bed I took 4 naps yesterday and I still went to bed before midnight.
Wow.
I don't know. I did wake up to a terrible night terror in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
I thought someone was in the room. And then Eric had said that I had woken up before or after that. He doesn't remember.
Mhm.
And I had started kicking in the bed and said, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And he's like, "No, what?" And I started pointing to the corner of the room, like the corner above
Oh.
our heads.
Uh-oh.
I used to have night terrors. This is so stupid. I used to have really bad night terrors, and I'm not even scared of spiders, but I used to have terrible night terrors of giant spiders. Like, have you ever seen the movie crazy eight-legged crazy freak? What is that movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know
Let
what
me see if I
you're
can find it.
talking about.
Oh, Eight-Legged Freaks. That's what it's called.
I have never seen that movie.
It's literally just imagine like giant mutant spiders,
That sounds horrifying.
like massive spiders. It's essentially used to be that for me. It's either giant spiders, and I'm not scared of spiders at all.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
just the fact that they're probably giant.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the fact that there's usually like something that resembles a person or resembles like a silhouette of a person is usually what I see when I first wake up.
Ooh, that's kind of terrifying. When I was
Yeah.
a kid, I had these Hunchback of Notre Dame bed sheets
Oh.
and they had it's hard to explain, like little stars on them, and in the middle of the night I would wake up screaming because I would have nightmares that the spiders on my bed sheets were just crawling all over me, and
Oh,
what
but
it
there were
turned out to be
stars?
was just like the little star pattern on the Hunchback of Notre Dame bed sheets.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I
There's
I'm not super afraid of spiders either. Like they're not.
it's just the fact that like
Yeah,
I wouldn't want 50 of them crawling on me. It doesn't
yeah,
matter how unafraid I am. I
yeah,
wouldn't want 50 of anything
yeah.
crawling on
Exactly,
me. So,
exactly.
I get it. Yeah, but other than that, I'm fine. I'll be okay. What are your lows and highs for the last week?
Well, I had to go back to work, which was fine ish. I was very tired. Like on Thursday night or Friday night, I can't even
Hmm.
remember. I went to bed at 7 o'clock.
What time did you wake up?
I woke up at 7 the next morning.
Oh man.
Slept
Did
for
you feel well rested or you're still like, God, I'm
I
tired?
still felt really tired, but I only woke up because the dog started fussing. So I
Your body was like,
probably
keep going, bitch.
yeah, I probably would have been able to sleep longer.
What's your high?
My high is that my So my father-in-law came over to the house to bring some furniture, and one of the highs is that he brought us furniture, and so we've got a couple new
New
bookshelves
furniture.
and an end table, and we rearranged some things in the house. We have put the dog crate away because we don't feel like they need to be crated anymore.
Oh,
Right. Yeah, yeah, it's very weird, and we're kind of
that's a
leaving.
big step.
I know, and we're leaving the bedroom door open, like our bedroom door open, while we are home, in hopes that being in that bedroom stops being a novelty, because we think part of the problem with the cats is that we close them off because Freya will kind of get fussy at them. But we
But it's
think,
only separating them more.
yeah, and we think that part of the reason she wants in there and wants to see them so badly is because they're so closed off from the bedroom all the time
So
that it
that when it's
allows.
open, she's like, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah,
I gotta
exactly.
get in.
Yeah, so the thought, and hopefully this helps, and I think it does. The thought is that it won't be as much of a novelty if the bedroom door is open more often. And to the cat's credit, Prompto, who is notoriously not the bravest of the bunch, he is the one, on the flip
Who
side,
actually ventured out,
most likely to venture out of the bedroom.
which is
So,
interesting.
yeah.
And it's more fair to them because then at least now they can explore the house again. But what
So,
was your high? Oh, you
oh,
said the furniture,
yeah.
right?
Yes, I was like, what was my high? Yeah, so the furniture was my high, that we started kind of trying to do a new strategy with getting the dogs and the cats more acquainted with each other. I mean, this is only the first full day. Yeah, the first full day that we've not had the dog crate out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying not to expect immediate results. However, it is promising to me that Prompto is willing to leave the bedroom when
Yeah,
he thinks the dogs are not around to watch. Because to be fair, the dogs are asleep, or the dogs were asleep in the middle of the night when he left the bedroom, and the other time he left the bedroom, the dogs were outside going potty.
jeez.
But
So,
that's one step in the right direction.
yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that just coaxes them to come out more.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Did you tell me your highs and lows?
No, I did not.
Well, tell me your highs and lows then. What are yours?
My low is feeling like Garbo because my disability.
Right.
And house hunting is great and also terrible.
I
These,
know that from like a renting standpoint and a buying standpoint.
it's different.
So, right, it's two different things. I feel for you.
It was so we visited this house on Saturday and the house, gorgeous house, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Like fenced in backyard, very green, luscious backyard, great landscaping in the front, beautiful curb appeal, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, essentially 2 living rooms, a laundry room, a new deck on the back porch that was just installed,
Nice.
a brand new shed in the backyard.
Also nice.
Like it just was perfect. The issue, the lady that we went to meet was just so judgy, dude.
What did
I went
she
with
do?
I went with Eric.
Hmm.
She had called me like a couple days before to make this appointment,
Okay.
and I told her, she asked me general questions like, "Do you have pets? How many of there are you? What are you looking for, etc." I told her, "Yeah, we have 1 cat, we have 1 dog. How big's your dog? Less than 20 pounds." Oh, okay. I get there over the phone. She just seemed off. I don't know
Hmm.
what it was.
Hmm.
But when I met her in person, of course, it's just Eric and I, and she's like, "Oh, so it's just the two of you that are renting this house?" And I was like, "No, we have a third." And she was like, "The landlord doesn't like roommates." And I'm like, what?" You have a house and the landlord doesn't like roommates? Also, our roommate, I'm putting in quotations, is Eric's best friend and they've known each other for 14 years. I don't think they're roommates anymore.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. And then she was like asking us questions about us. Like, she's like, "What do you guys even do?" I'm like,
What
"What
the
the
fuck?
fuck?" Like, I was just like, "I work for this place." And then Eric was like, "I work for the library." And she's like, "And the third?" I'm like, "Works for a carpet cleaning company." Like, If I make enough money, why does it matter?
Yeah.
If I make porn, who fucking cares? As long as I'm paying the rent, why does it matter? And I caught her multiple times looking Eric and I up and down, like
Ooh,
very specifically, like being judgy about what we were wearing.
what the
I was
hell?
wearing brand new Converse, my
Mhm.
Animal Crossing long sleeve shirt,
Okay.
and jeans.
So nothing like scandalous.
I wasn't wearing nothing at all. Like that would be weird, like a dress that was too short or my boobs were out. Even if it was, who fucking cares? If I can pay for a house, I can pay for a house, you know?
Yeah.
But I wasn't wearing anything that was weird, and Eric was wearing a button-down, jeans, and his work shoes. So like,
So like the hipster he is.
yes. And she just was so judgy the whole time, and she was just like asking us questions, like thinking we didn't know anything about renting houses. And Eric and I have both rented houses before.
Right, right.
And I'm like, ma'am, I rented a house, just me and my husband, for 3 years. What do you think? Like, I can't do this? Like, I'm confused. She is treating us like we were kids. I'm like, my boyfriend's almost 30. Like, please stop. I haven't heard back after that tour. We were very nice to her, and she was nice, but you could just tell she was just judgy. That's
Hmm.
all. But the other house that we saw, like a couple days before that, was a self tour.
Hmm.
Great house. There was just some weird shit going on in the back of the house. Like the landscaping was shit back there, and there was like glass and stuff, but
Oh
the
God.
actual like screened in part
Hmm.
was very nice. It was just confusing because it looked like it didn't belong there.
Hmm.
It had two screened in porches, and one was massive, like bigger than the house, massive.
Damn.
And then the other part was like maybe a quarter of the size. It looked like they had the quarter of the size one was first, and then they added the other one. It was just weird,
Hmm.
but it was huge, massive, massive, like big enough that you could put another living room and dining room out there.
Interesting.
There was like mysterious puddles in weird places. A puddle in the living room.
That's
It was
not.
that. It was the night of that big rainstorm. So
Oh,
I was
that's a
like,
big red flag.
and I was like, and it didn't come from the ceiling because we looked at the ceiling. It looked like it came through like the windows.
Hmm.
It was
Still a
weird.
red flag.
Yep. So I'm still on the hunt, y'all. I'm still on the hunt.
Well,
But
I'll be
my
excited when you tell me that you
same
have.
that I got a house.
Yeah, yeah.
My highs, which could also be considered low, depending on how you look at it. My highs, I signed my divorce papers on Friday,
Oh.
which means within the next couple weeks I will be officially divorced, which is good and bad. It's
Yay.
bittersweet. It's
Yeah, I
bittersweet.
bet it is. I can't imagine.
It's good because we both need to move on. It's bad because we're both still obviously like it's a whole grieving thing.
Yeah,
Even now,
of
even
course.
though I've obviously moved on, it's still sad.
Yeah, of course. It's like you said in another episode, like you don't marry somebody thinking that it's not going to work out.
No, and if you do, you're insane. But
Yeah.
I've definitely obviously went in with the intentions that we were going to work out, and when we both realized that it wasn't going to work out, we mourned just like a death, just in a different way. And now that it's actually coming to a close, it's bittersweet. It's good because I want to move on. Like, I have an amazing boyfriend, and I can't imagine not being with him at this point. And the life that I would have carried on with my ex wouldn't have been good. I wouldn't have been
Hmm.
happy.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I moved on, but yeah, it's just hard because we're both in very different stages.
Yeah, yeah.
So far, that's that's my high. I'm pretty excited to just get that chapter kind of closed.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Other than that, I'm okay. I was a little upset the night that I did it. I also was just like, oh man, that means I can like move on and start a
To
new
the next,
chapter.
yeah, to the next
Yeah.
big thing, whatever that is. Buy
Yeah.
or renting a house,
Renting a
whatever.
house. And yeah, I know how Eric feels about our future. So, me finalizing that, he's like, like, He's very excited. So, and he also is a little sad that he can't say his favorite joke, which is my girlfriend's husband.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
that's all I got.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess we're gonna hop into the spooks, huh?
Yes, we are.
What you got for
Guess
me?
what I got? We are going to be talking about the Eastern State Penitentiary.
Ooh, this is an oldie but goodie, or a classic,
Yeah,
or however you want to talk about
it
it.
is. The
Oh man.
Eastern State is I'm just gonna call it Eastern State or ESP for
Hmm.
most of this because it's too much to say it the whole time.
Yeah, it's a mouthful for sure.
It is penitentiary, penitentiary, penitentiary. It just sounds weird. I've said it too many times.
Yeah, I don't think you said it
Anyways,
right either. But
no, I didn't. It's
penitentiary.
or
All right,
U.S. people. Yeah, it's weird.
tell me about Eastern State Penitentiary.
Thank you. It is a former American prison in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
It is located at 2027 Fairmount Avenue between Corinthian Avenue and North 22nd Street and was operational from 1829 until, drumroll, 1971.
Wow, that's really recent.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, like, I feel like I knew that, but every time I hear it, it's like, wow, that was
That
like,
doesn't sound good.
yeah,
There's a bunch of places, like asylums too, where you're
yeah,
like, there is no way that kept going until then. You're like, oh, good.
yeah.
It
Like,
did.
that's in living
Great.
memory.
Like, that's not,
Like, not
shouldn't.
necessarily our living memory, but recent enough that people,
There are witnesses.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild.
It's weird.
Wow.
But a lot of famous people stayed at this, place. Al Capone,
Hmm.
bank robber Willie Sutton, and a lot of the big things about it is that it was the first of its kind, really. It was designed by John Haviland and it was opened on October 25th, 1829, and it was the world's first true penitentiary. I don't why like so the sorry, every time I say it I'm like this doesn't none of it
Penitentiary.
feels right. Penitentiary.
Penitentiary. Penitentiary.
Penitentiary. Penitentiary. It's weird. It just sounds wrong. It
Going into blooper
was
reel.
oh my god. So the
Yeah.
warden was actually legally required to visit every inmate every day when it first started,
Wow.
and the people like the normal working people like guards and stuff were actually mandated to see each inmate 3 times a day.
What?
It was yeah, they just had to check on them,
Wow.
which is interesting. I don't know how normal jail works now, but
Yeah, me neither.
originally
No, because
inmates,
I go to jail all the
yeah,
time.
felons. Look at us. That's why it's so hard for me to rent a house.
Yeah. I was about to say, no wonder I can't find a new job.
No wonder. That's crazy. So, inmates were actually housed in cells that could be accessed entering a exercise yard to the back of the prison, which was a very, very tiny portal. And then
Portal?
they that's how it's described. I don't know why.
Like the
I'm just
King of
gonna read
Hawaii?
like like it's a void, you go in and it's a black hole. You're like, whoops, on a different side. What?
So whoever wrote this article is like, I'm not going to use the word door. It's going to be a portal.
Portal.
Okay, sorry.
And they only had like a tiny slot to get their meals through. This design proved very impractical, and in the middle of construction, cells were constructed that allowed prisoners to enter and leave the cell block through metal doors that were covered by heavy wooden doors to filter out noise.
What the fuck?
So, the halls were kind of designed to feel like a church,
Oh, okay.
which is less aggressive, I guess. Hi, Eric. I'm already drinking, but thank you. So, some believe that the doors were too small so that prisoners would have like a hard time getting out, which, obviously helped people not attack the people watching them. Others have explained that the doors might also force prisoners to bow while entering their cell, which would kind of relate to this churchy kind of thing. I don't know if you know, but the word penitentiary, I can't fucking say it. Penitentiary,
Yep, close enough.
close enough, is actually a religious word.
Penitentiary?
Hmm.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Hold on, I'm Googling it. I believe you, but I want to see for myself.
I had to Google it because I was like, what? Really? Like, just the word penitentiary.
Oh, it's Roman Catholic.
Is that weird?
A priest charged with certain aspects of the administration of the sacrament of penance. Oh, okay.
So they were thinking this would, make them, like, force them into it, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But prisoners were also allowed to garden and keep pets in their exercise yards, which is
Like
also
full-blown
weird.
dogs or like
Yeah, pets.
ferrets?
No, pets. This is 1800s, baby. Dogs,
Wow.
cats.
This is 1800s, baby. Because people didn't own pet ferrets back in the 1800s.
I don't think they did. I'm be real. I don't think they did.
Hold on, that's another Google.
While you're Googling that, so the cells were actually made of concrete with one glass skylight, which represented the eye of God,
Oh,
suggesting to prisoners that God was always watching them, which, thank you for that.
I guess.
And outside each cell was a specific area for each individual to exercise, with high walls so that the prisoners couldn't actually communicate with each other. And each exercise time for prisoners were synchronized so that no two prisoners were next to each other at the same time.
Interesting.
And then cell accommodations were advanced for that time period. There was a faucet with running water with a flush toilet and curved pipes along one part of the wall, which served as a central heating during the winter months.
Oh.
Which is a lot because I don't think even like asylums and stuff had that back then. They were just like, you're going to be cold. Good luck.
Yeah.
So the original design of the building was for 7 one-story cell blocks. But by the time cell block 3 was completed, the prison was already at capacity or over capacity. So they had to make more cell blocks, and toward the end, cell blocks 14 and 15 were built really, really fast because there was overcrowding. So they did not plan this very well. They were built and designed by prisoners.
Wow.
So, cell block 15 was for the worst behaved prisoners, and the guards were gated off from there entirely. They couldn't even interact with those people. They were just lone wolves back there.
Yeah, really.
And in 1924, Governor Gifford Pinchot allegedly sentenced
I'm sorry
Pep.
for your name, pal.
Yeah, it's bad. Gifford. My name's Gifford. This is just a fun fact.
Okay.
This governor sentenced Pep, the cat murdering dog, who was an actual dog, to a life sentence.
Aww.
This poor dog.
Meanwhile, the dog is like, my instincts are wrong? Like, what?
Like, oh, we're going to jail? Oh, I'm having a great time. Oh, all these people really like me.
Yeah.
I like this place.
The dog, like, has no idea.
The dog has no idea. So the dog named Pep allegedly murdered the governor's wife's cat. So he was like, "Fuck this dog,"
Yeah, really.
which is so sad. They even gave him an inmate number. This governor is that like fucking psycho that he was like, "Lock the dog up, book him."
Yeah, really.
All the way. He was like, I don't like this. He does have a mugshot.
Oh my god, does he really? Hold on. The
He
dog's
does.
name again was what?
Pep.
Pep. I also have some information about ferrets whenever you want that.
Oh, tell me. Lay it on me, baby.
Oh, Pep was
Isn't he cute?
sweet
Look at him.
boy. Oh, I love Pep. I'm gonna
I
post
want
this on
Pep
our Instagram.
framed.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Oh, someone put on Pep, not a cat murdering prison inmate. Yeah, you tell him.
Yeah, really. Okay, so real quick side note about the history of the domestication of the ferret.
Okay. I'm ready. Lay it on me, baby.
Analysis of mitochondrial DNA suggests that ferrets were domesticated around 2,500 years ago. Yeah, it was claimed. It has been claimed that the ancient Egyptians were the first to domesticate ferrets, but as no mummified remains of a ferret have been found, nor any hieroglyph of a ferret, no polecat now occurs in the wild in the area, the idea seems unlikely. Ferrets were probably used by Romans for hunting, and They were more popular as house pets in the 1800s over in New Zealand and Australia, and they did not come they did not become popular in the United States until the 1980s. So we were both right.
Okay. So they did not have ferrets then.
No, they could have.
They
Just because it
could
wasn't
have,
popular in the United
but I
States
don't
doesn't mean
believe
it
they
was
did.
unlikely.
So I'm going to throw some more random facts at you.
Okay.
Oh, that dog is so cute. Okay. So,
He's the one on the
uh,
Insta.
so the guy that I was talking about, Willie Sutton, the bank robber. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. He
Tell me about his bank robbery.
had a 40-year robbery career, and he stole an estimated $2 million.
At the time or today?
I think today's money.
Oh, okay.
He's from Florida, surprise.
Of course.
Or he died in Florida,
Oh.
but he's from New York, which is not surprising because he's basically like the mafia man. But
yeah, really.
He spent more than half of his adult life in prison, and he escaped 3 different times. He was very good from prisons.
But different prisons or the same prison?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm asking the hard questions.
I don't know.
Tonight.
I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it was 3 different prisons, but I could be wrong. His talents included disguises, and he gained 2 different nicknames. He was known as Willy the actor and Slick Willy, which please don't call anybody Slick Willy.
Slick Willy. That sounds like a euphemism for a dick.
Slick Willy.
Ew.
That's gross. So he's a big robber man. Big boy robber man, all right? And he, along with 12 or 11 other people, on April 3rd, 1945. Wow, I'm like, am I having a stroke?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
45th, huh? 45th?
I'm so tired.
That's like, what did I say a couple episodes ago?
I don't remember.
Ooh, we're punch drunk this episode.
Anyways, so on April 3rd, 1945. Yeah, you did. You think you said that? On April 3rd, 1945, a major escape was actually carried out by Willie Sutton and other inmates who, over the course of a year, managed to dig a 97-foot tunnel under the prison. Which is some crazy shit.
What did they do with plastic spoons?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know if plastic spoons were as big of a hit in 1945, though.
I'm gonna find out now.
Oh my god. So, during the renovations in the 1930s, an additional 30 incomplete inmate dug tunnels were actually discovered. So there was fucking 30 other tunnels that they never noticed because these people never checked.
Okay.
The prison was closed in 1971, and they were all transferred, or most of them were transferred, to Graterford Prison, which is about 50 kilometers or 31 miles northwest of Eastern State. The city of Philadelphia actually purchased the property with the intention of redeveloping it, but it was actually just declared a historical site. They actually wanted to make it a mall and luxury apartment complex surrounded by the old prison walls, because nothing says luxury like old prison walls.
Yeah, really.
I don't know why you would want that. So, in this era, from like I think it was like the 80s onward to like about 88 or so, a forest kind of overtook the jail because no one was using it, obviously.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I love the aesthetic of
when it takes things back.
Yeah. I love that.
The prison became home to many little kitties.
Oh.
So it was just a foresty, cat-filled penitentiary. And in 1988, the Eastern State Penitentiary Task Force successfully petitioned Mayor Wilson Goode to halt redevelopment, and in 1994, it was opened for history tours. So it's been a historical landmark since. They did not continue with that, which is good because it would have been weird.
Yeah, really.
I wouldn't want to live in I don't know, it just seems weird.
I also would not want to live or have a hotel stay in the Eastern State Penitentiary.
It's just weird. I also have an actual like timeline, which I'm just going to read verbatim because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
Of like it's from easternstate.org, the actual website for this. It's a full timeline of Eastern State. So in 1776, it was the Walnut Street Jail, built to relieve the overcrowding and scandalous conditions at Philadelphia's Old Stone Jail, and it received its first prisoners. In 1787, Dr. Benjamin Rush founds the Philadelphia Society for Alleviating the Miseries of Public Prisons.
Holy shit.
The
What a
first prison.
title.
Yeah, I laughed so hard the first time I read it. I was like, huh? I was like, what a 1700s thing to say. It was the first prison reform group in the world, and Benjamin Franklin joined the group on August 13, 1787, and the group is still alive today.
Oh, weird.
It's now just called the Pennsylvania Prison Society.
Oh.
Dang, I really thought Philadelphia Society for Alleviating the Miseries of Public Prisons just rolled right off the tongue. So.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Probably
Yeah.
literally.
And in 1790, it became the penitentiary house with a capacity of 16 single cells. And it was built in the Walnut Street Jail, and an experiment with day and night solitary confinement begins, which is not great. 1821, after many years of lobbying from Philadelphia Society for Alleviating the Miseries of Public Prisons, it's so much.
You know that old
The
thing.
Pennsylvania legislature approved funding to build Eastern State, and the new prison would hold 250 inmates. 4 architects submitted designs for this prison. John Haviland, a British architect who had settled in Philadelphia, who was the one who built it, he won and receives a $100 prize for his design.
Wow. That would buy me.
Yep, $100 whole dollars. Dang, that's a big ass sandwich.
Well, it'll feed me
And
for like a week.
what's funnier is that his rival architect, William Strickland, whose design was rejected, was chosen to oversee the construction. So they were like,
Oh, that's
number
awkward.
2, here you go. In 1822, construction began on the foundations and walls, and William Strickland was fired.
Oh.
And John Haviland is appointed to oversee the construction. I wonder why. And then in 1826, the Marquis de Lafayette visits the unfinished penitentiary. And on April 23rd, 1829, legislation specifying separate or solitary confinement at labor is passed. So the plans were finalized to prohibit all contact between prisoners at Eastern State. So they weren't able to interact with each other, which is not great.
Yeah.
And then masks were actually fabricated to keep inmates from communicating for their rare trips outside of their cells. Their cells were equipped with feed doors and individual yards, so they actually never really came in contact with pretty much anyone.
Wow.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
So people go crazy. Eastern State Penitentiary opens October 25th. And its first inmates, Charles Williams, prisoner number 1. He was a burglar. He was black. They did specify light black, which, thanks.
That's gross.
I'm like,
that.
wow. As a black person, I'm like, okay.
I'm
like that doesn't change it.
Yeah.
He's 5 foot. He was 5'7" tall. His foot was 11 inches. I don't know why it says that. Scar on nose, scar on thigh. He had
1 foot. Was 11
no.
inches?
It just says foot 11 inches.
Foot.
So I am assuming his foot was 11 inches because he's only 5'7".
But why did they? I'm just hung up on the fact that they
I
were
could
like,
link you to this.
one single foot was 11 inches. We don't know how long the other one was.
The other one's 13. We don't talk about that foot. I don't know. I don't know what they want.
Okay.
This is how they described him, you know?
Go ahead.
He has scar on his nose, scar on thigh, broad mouth, black eyes, farmer by trade, can read, which is not that surprising.
Yeah.
Theft, but for people in this time period, there were like a black man that can read.
Right.
Theft included one $20 watch and one $3 gold seal, one gold key. He was sentenced to 2 years confinement with labor, and that was on October 25th, so he was the first prisoner. Wow. And then On 1831, work was completed on Block 3, the last of the original single-story blocks, and then work began on 4, 5, 6, and 7. They were all 2 stories because they had to kind of compensate for the amount of inmates they were getting.
Right.
Block 7 was completed in 1835, and the first female prisoner was received in 1831 as well.
Oh.
And then in 1832...
I don't know if that's something you would put on your resume. I was the first female prisoner.
I was the first female prisoner in this prison. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
In 1832, they had their first escape. An inmate who served as the warden's waiter lowered himself from the roof of the front building, and once he was captured, he tried to escape again in 1837 because he didn't learn his damn lesson.
He didn't want to be there.
I mean, fair. 1834, first of several investigations into the prison's finances, punishment practice, and deviations from the Pennsylvania system of confinement. In 1836, the original prison was completed under that supervision of John Haviland. It was covering an area of 11 acres with plumbing, sewage, and 450 centrally heated cells, which was unheard of in 1836.
Yeah.
And then in 1842, Charles Dickens visited the United States to see Niagara Falls in Eastern State. He later wrote, "The system is rigid, strict, and hopeless solitary confinement, and I believe it and its effects to be cruel and wrong." I would also agree with you, Charles Dickens.
Well, damn. If Charles Dickens has a problem with it,
it's bad.
You fucked up.
I would say it's bad. 1854, first full-time school teacher hired, so that's cool. 1858, over 10,000 tourists visited in 1 year, until basically the most people that had ever visited until it reopened as a historic place.
Oh, interesting.
In 1877, 4 new cell blocks were attached and constructed. 1911, they completed cell block 12, which was wedged between 6 and 7. I want you to look at a map if you can find it.
Oh yeah, give me a second. I'll Google it.
And
I also
then
did find the history of plasticware whenever you want me to tell you about that.
Oh yeah, please do.
You were correct. The plastic. Well, we were both kind of correct again. After World War II, plastic was being used more regularly in the home, and by the 60s, plastic had replaced all other materials in the kitchen, like wood, metal, and glass. So
okay,
so we were both correct again.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm smarter than I let on.
Literally, I have in my most recent searches, when did people start keeping ferrets as pets? Pep dog inmate, history of plastic spoons.
All right. I'm sure Google's real confused. I'm trying to see. They keep going. This keeps going for a while. But anyways, if you want to take a look at this timeline, I just figured the 1800s and the 1900s were kind of a big, like, the late 1700s, early 1800s to early 1900s is a very crucial time, because there was still, obviously, we changed a lot during that time frame. So if you want to see the timeline, we can link to it. It's just easternstate.org.
Yeah, can you send
look
me
at the timeline?
Yep, you got it.
Right. I did.
I'm gonna post
but
it in the show notes.
It's very, very interesting. One of the other things I wanted to bring up before I get into the paranormal.
Oh, jeez.
It's not a lot, but
that's good.
Before I get into the paranormal, before COVID, they used to do Halloween stuff here.
Oh.
And I would love to go.
Oh, me too. Maybe when
this all stops.
One day when the world is not ending, we can go.
Yeah. So I found this on liveabout.com. So I'm going to start talking about the hauntings.
Yes, please.
This was under the section harsh punishments. So here we go. Here are some of the punishments that some of these people had to endure. You ready?
Damn. Nice.
Okay. The inmates who broke the rules risked being dunked in a bath of ice-cold water, then hung from a wall for the night. During the winter months, when this punishment was most popular, the water on the inmate's skin would form a layer of ice.
Oh my god.
The next one. The mad chair was named such because it was not uncommon for an inmate to go mad before his punishment ended. Inmates would be strapped into the chair, with leather strips so tightly that it would be impossible for them to make the smallest of movements. They would sit for days without food until their circulation in their body almost stopped from the tightness of the
Oh
straps.
my god.
The next one, which is the iron gag, was specifically designed for inmates who refused to obey the no communication policies. So, an iron collar was clamped onto the tongue of the inmate and then chained to his wrists, which were strapped high above his back. Any movement
Holy
resulted
shit.
in tearing of your tongue and severe bleeding,
Oh my
and
god.
many inmates who suffered this died from blood loss because apparently this is Saw, and that's what we're doing now.
Oh my god.
This seems like a Saw thing,
Yeah,
right?
it
Like
does.
clamped to your tongue.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last one, dug under Block 14, a hole, which was nothing but a pit in the ground where incorrigible inmates would stay locked for sometimes weeks. There was little light, no air, and those thrown into its grip would receive water and a slice of bread if they got to it before the other animals did.
Wow.
So that's cool. So here are some ghosties.
Yeah, tell me.
This one's called The Locksmith. One major paranormal episode reported was a locksmith doing restoration work in cell block number 4. According to him, he was working with a 140-year-old lock from the cell door when a massive force overcame him so powerful that he was like unable to move. Some believe when he removed the key, it opened a gateway to the past and offered the spirits like kind of a bridge.
Damn.
The man spoke of experiencing an out of body state as he was drawn toward the negative energy, and he said that he saw anguished faces appearing on the cell walls. Hundreds of faces,
No.
which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And he said one dominating form seemed to beckon the locksmith to him, and the man's experience, he said, was so vivid that after years he would shudder in fear when he talked about it. So,
Oh no.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
And other tourists have reported hearing weeping, giggling, whispering from the prison walls, cold spots, the usual. There's a surprise, a Ghost Adventures episode of this place.
I am somehow so surprised.
So if you want to see that, it was good. And by good, I mean as good as it gets. So
Oh my god.
if you want to look, and there is like a section of it, this is also a weird fact, but
Mm-hmm.
the Al Capone cell is still not restorated, but it's still like it's part of the historic part, so you can see what Al Capone's cell looked like, and it just looks like a fucking New York apartment.
Weird.
Like really nice furniture. Obviously the walls look fucking gross, but
Sure.
the rest of it just looks like a nice apartment, and I'm like, wow, that's great.
Oh man.
But if you look at like a picture of the penitentiary, it looks like a sun with a bunch of spokes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a bunch of lines in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a wheel design, and it was just to keep from like people from interacting. And it was one of the only like places that were built with this system, cuz like if you look at jails now, they're not built like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just an experiment to see how it would go,
Yeah.
and they just kept adding cell blocks all the way around it. It was just
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did look at the picture of like the floor plan, and you are right. Like cell block 12 is right there, smack dab in the middle of 6 and 7.
Yeah, cuz that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I got for you.
Oh, okay, cool. That was
What do
spooky.
you? Yeah, and please watch the Ghost Adventures episode for the love
I
of God.
yeah.
Anybody listening to this, that's all I have for you. What do you got?
Okay, so I have a few little bits of gaming news. So the first one I have, all of my news articles came from GameSpot, the New York Times, Forbes. In one of these, I got some information from the official Microsoft blog, and the last news story came from USA Today. So,
Lay it on me.
all right. So this first little bit is during the QuakeCon at home. Opening ceremonies on August 7th, ID Software announced some upcoming plans for Doom Eternal, which included a new DLC called Ancient Gods. While there was no big trailer review, the developer teased that a full announcement trailer would be coming on August 27th. And this part of the DLC was referred to as, quote, Part 1. So that implies that there will at least be another part of the Ancient Gods DLC. And I know that we talked about Doom like one of our very early episodes. So I was like, well, let's bring that back around.
Yeah, I might as well.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that on August 27th. Back in May, we had talked about how Amazon had developed a game called Crucible and how it was like a mashup of Overwatch and League and Monster Hunter and stuff like that. Do you remember?
Yes, sorry, I struggled to unmute myself, if you remember.
Yeah, so I definitely remember saying that I was going to stream it, but I didn't.
Whoops.
That's okay. I did play it a little bit, but it was a little bit underwhelming. And I'm not the only person who thought so because that game flopped harder than a pancake.
That's terrible.
I don't know why I said that.
I don't know, because it felt right, and
Yeah,
guess what? You were right.
It was. So only about 10,000 people actually played it at launch. But by June, so it launched in May, by June, it only averaged about 360 daily players. So,
That's fucking
yeah.
terrible.
Like worldwide.
That's
So,
terrible.
yeah, very terrible. So Amazon pulled it from circulation. So if you wanted to play it, you can't now.
They were like, sorry, it sucks.
But in a new attempt to join the folds of video gaming, Amazon announced what is essentially a rebranding of Twitch Prime, and they're calling it Prime Gaming. Woo! When they originally bought Twitch back in 2014, they left the name apparently because it was still like a well-known name, like Twitch was still well-known among gamers.
Mm-hmm.
But according to Prime Gaming's director Larry Plotnick,
I hate that.
Amazon now believes that its own name carries a significant enough weight that it feels comfortable changing the name and branding, saying, quote, "We felt very strongly that to support our game developers as partners as well as to reach the most customers, the Prime Gaming brand creates a lot more value in that ecosystem."
So they're
So,
basically saying, we're Amazon.
yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yep. I personally think this is going to be like a Sharpie or Kleenex situation where even if it isn't the name branded on the object, people are going to still call it Twitch. You know what I mean? Does that make
Interesting.
sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think that this move kind of makes, I mean, Amazon's already a shitty company, but it kind of makes it feel like Amazon thinks too highly of itself. I don't know how to put that
Amazon thinks it's God.
I know. I don't know how to put that more intelligently than
I know what you
that,
mean.
but it just feels so.
It's like, just because I'm Amazon, it'll work.
Yeah, it feels really like superior, holier than thou. I'm not really sure what the word I'm looking for is, but it just feels.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is a big kind of piece of news that was all over the Twitter for a while, but in my notes I had written, "Man, this is my favorite fig tan fucktard."
Oh, okay. You really typed that in?
I did type that in because I was like doing my note. I always like write notes to myself in my notes, which is sometimes why I pause because I go, "Why did
You're reading them?
Yep. Anyway, so I guess our favorite fake tan fucktard up in the White House had signed a couple of executive orders on Friday night, Friday the 7th,
Okay.
which aims to ban any transaction with Chinese-based companies Tencent and ByteDance, which are the parent companies of WeChat and TikTok, respectively. So, in the wake of those executive orders, shares for video games literally plummeted
Dang.
immediately after this announcement because the exact wording of the executive order was vague enough that it sounded almost like it was inadvertently going to ban the playing of any games made by a company that Tencent has stakes in. And Tencent has 100% stake in Riot Games, 84% in Supercell, 40% in Epic Games, and 5% both in Blizzard, Activision, and Ubisoft.
They have like their hands on everything.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a panic. The executive order itself, both of them, because there was two different ones, one for Tencent and one for ByteDance. They create a whole clusterfuck of problems that I probably won't get too deep into here because it's mostly like political and not specific to gaming. But it seems that clarification was given by the White House regarding the executive orders for video games. So banning all transactions with Tencent will not decimate video gaming, supposedly. In a tweet from LA Times LA Tech reporter Sam Dean, he said this, quote, video game companies owned by Tencent will not be affected by the executive order. White House officials confirmed to the LA Times that the executive order only blocks transactions related to WeChat. So Riot Games, in parentheses League of Legends, Epic Games, in parentheses Fortnite, et al. Are safe, in parentheses pending updates. This was pretty much impossible to tell from the EO itself. I also had a gaping mouth emoji moment where they were roping in Riot et al. When I first read it, but we just mean WeChat is the White House line for tonight. But banning transactions on/with WeChat alone is still wild. And that's the end of it. Was like 2 tweets tagged together.
Jeez.
So in another tweet, which he responded to his own about the Riot Games and Epic Games being safe, he said this, quote, the White House says that game companies aren't in the crosshairs, but legal experts still worry that commerce could go for any Tencent company since the order was written so broadly. The whole situation is unprecedented and unpredictable. And then he links to an article that he wrote regarding the topic, and I'll post the link to the Twitter and the article in the show notes. So basically, this is still like an ongoing and developing story, and it sounds a little bit like back and forth about whether or not this is going to affect the video game economy or not. The executive orders don't take effect until September 20th, but it's likely that ByteDance and Tencent are going to pursue legal action based on this because
Jeez.
they did, ByteDance did come out and say that they were going to be looking into legal action because this is just not something that you can do, I guess. So, as a side note, something I found interesting is that Microsoft were working towards buying TikTok in the US, and the announcement of this executive order basically forces Microsoft to kind of do it now or never, and they're expecting discussions to be complete and a decision to be made no later than September 15th.
Okay.
So,
we'll see then.
Yeah, I guess so. So the last little tidbit I have for you is just something that I found for feel good after that bit of heavy news.
Yay.
It's a new feel good game that is starting to climb its way toward the top of the best quarantine games.
Ooh.
And that game, do you want to take a guess? It's been all over the place.
Quarantine specific? Oh, you mean Animal Crossing?
No.
Like a different game?
Yeah. It wasn't quarantine specific. It's been out, but it released on PC on last Tuesday.
Oh, I don't know then.
It was Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout.
Oh, okay. I have been seeing a bunch of people.
So that was less than a week ago as we're recording this, and since then it has sold to more than 2 million players on Steam worldwide.
Dang.
Which in the article that I read on USA Today about this, to put that into perspective, in 1 week, like Taylor Swift's most recent album only sold 860,000. So isn't that wild?
That's insane.
Yeah, I haven't bought it yet, but everybody keeps talking about it. And my sorority big sister on Twitter was like, so I broke down and bought Fall Guys because I wanted to see what the hype is about. And I get it, guys. I get it. So I'm curious to get it now.
I've heard a lot about it, and I've seen people, I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos pop up against it. Wow, I can't speak. A bunch of YouTube videos pop up, like, people playing it and stuff, so.
Yeah, I'd be interested to play it. So that's what I got for gaming news.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to keep our eyes peeled about the situation with Tencent and ByteDance.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a we'll see kind of thing.
Everything hinges on this vote in November, on this election, and that's so scary to me.
It is really not fun.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
So this is the end of the episode where we tell you where you can find us, and you can find us on social media, on Instagram at goldgaminggals.podcast, and on Twitter at goldgaminggals, and on Facebook maybe. You can find Janelle's Twitch at Janelle Nelly.
You can find Angel's Twitch at Arium Aquila, AUREUM AQUILA.
And you can listen to us basically wherever you get your podcasts, which includes iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, all of those fun places. Apple Pod, Google Pod.
Google Pod.
And you can email us at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com if you have a comment, a suggestion, a piece of news story that you want to make sure we cover. And you can find us on our website at ghoulgaminggals.com.
Yay! Well, have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, we'll
talk to you in the next one. Bye!
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.